everybody, welcome to No Plan, No Problem, a D&D podcast where two dungeon masters take a deep dive into a topic to try and give you 3 actionable tips to use in your next game. I'm your Dungeon Master, Anto.
And I'm currently in stealth mode. Don't tell them where I am. Matthew Perkins.
You can find my stuff across the internet at icarus-games.co.uk.
And you can find my stuff over at matthewperkins.net.
So Matt, today we're going to be talking about rogues, the sneaky, stealthy, edgy characters that everyone loves to hate.
Yes!
For those that aren't aware, for whatever reason, they are one of the character classes. They are all about the stealth and subterfuge and striking in the most precise locations, dealing huge amounts of damage from their sneaky attacks. And what have you got for us, Matt? What's our first prompt?
So our first prompt comes from the amazing Mr. Hero from Reddit over on RD&D. Mr. Hero says, for my next character, I'm thinking of going rogue. I thought it would be interesting to play as a stealthy character who does his best to avoid killing people outright. What is the best way to go about this without sacrificing a whole lot of usefulness? Would it be easier to do with some other class, like the Bard or the Shadow Monk? What do you think, Anto?
I really like that. I really like the idea of a stealthy rogue who's doing their best to avoid killing people. Mm-hmm. I think that the boring answer is you just use the rules as written on page 198 of the Player's Handbook. It says that if you deal enough damage to reduce something to 0 HP, you can just knock it out instead of killing it.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like this person wants something a bit more juicy than that.
Yeah, and I don't think they're necessarily worried about, like, the mechanics, because the rules are, like, are going to help them knock people out. That's easy enough. But maybe they're thinking more about the character things, because if you have a character that insists on knocking people out instead of killing them, how's that going to gel with the party all the time? Or what kind of set of circumstances led to this rogue being this way? I mean, the rogue has a specific subclass called the assassin, yes, where their job and their goal and their whole combat ethos is about hiding in the shadows really well. And then if they hit, I think they crit really hard. Is it something like if they surprise an enemy, then they automatically crit? Is that how it works? Assassinate?
It's something like that, yeah.
Something similar. But the theme of it is that, hey, I'm going to kill you real hard.
Yeah.
And this person is rejecting and subverting that. So how would you do that with a character?
I think that I would start at character creation and kind of involve the entire party and say, look, this player is thinking of playing this kind of character that is adverse to killing. Mm-hmm. How does everyone feel about that? And conversely, how is that character that this person wants to play, if they're knocking everyone out, what if another player is following it behind them, just slitting the throats of everyone they've knocked out?
Wait,
are they going to be okay with that?
like a lethal janitor just sweeping up after the party. Oh, well, here I go killing again.
Is it just a case of the rogue doesn't want to be the one to kill people, but they're happy with their buddies killing people? Or are they trying to prescribe a non-lethal playstyle on the entire party? And I think the only way to get kind of around that is to have a conversation that involves the entire party and say, you need to kind of work together on what all of your expectations are. The rogue wants to not kill people, that's fine. But how are they going to react to some of these super likely situations?
Yeah, that could be actually kind of disruptive, peacefully disruptive, because your rogue comes up and says, hey man, you don't have to kill that guy. Just come on. Why are you killing all the time? Can't we just all get along? We'll go play hacky sack later. No, don't kill him. Come on, bud. Here, smoke this J. Hey, I love you. Give me a hug. We're in a fight right now. Stop hugging people.
Just in the middle of a fight, the rogue being like, I'm not going to kill you. Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. And their opponent being like, have you ever been in a fight before?
Oh, yeah, man. Life's a real fight. I once had to fight, big fight. I had to pull a carrot from the ground, to tear its life force from the soil. The carrot.
Just the ultimate vegan rogue.
Oh man, I'm actually loving this vegan rogue character, and the idea of playing hacky sack as well, like just so good at acrobatics checks and athletics checks. It's like, hey man, I can get up to like 40 on hacky sack. Check this out.
Hacky sack makes a lot of sense for a rogue, but I think as a character concept, it is really interesting. Any character that kind of takes that pacifist role is really interesting, and a rogue does it well because they are so kind of poised for stealth and subterfuge and being unseen, and not killing does kind of fit into that. You know, if you're not leaving a whole bunch of blood and bodies behind, you're probably going to be more effective at stealth.
Yeah.
But I do think my tip would be, if this is a character that you wanted to play, it's definitely something that you need to discuss with the whole party, and everyone needs to get their expectations aligned, because it's very outside the norm of what you typically would be playing in D&D. Usually everyone's going to kill absolutely everything. And if you are dead set on not doing that, then that could be a source of conflict. So it's definitely, my tip is definitely communicate your intentions as the rogue. What you know, what kind of rogue are you going to be?
Anto, you've just unlocked something for me, because when I was thinking of this question and the way to answer it, I only thought about not killing as in, this is a character who goes into combat, and when they leave combat, they've left people unconscious. But when you were talking about this kind of ethos, this kind of ethical character who wants to play hacky sack and not kill, they are not going to be going into combat as much. They might even be opposed to fighting.
Yeah.
They're more like, no, we can sneak past this. No, we can talk our way past this. And they're definitely campaigns where that kind of ethical backbone could be very appropriate.
Yeah.
But it's only for specific niche campaigns. And I bet a lot of the time, if a character came to most campaigns and said, my character doesn't want to fight, my character doesn't want to kill, as a dungeon master, I would mostly be saying, yeah, so that character's not invited to this party.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to bring a barbarian, my dude.
You know, if it is definitely a case of, well, if you don't want to fight and you don't want to kill, what are you doing on this adventure? What has prompted you to come, and what keeps you adventuring?
I'm playing hacky sack.
If you are so opposed to some of the pretty fundamental parts of what you're going to be doing.
I think that if I had to draw a line and say yes or no, is this a good character or is this a good idea? My answer, like 90% of the time, is no, don't do it. I think it's a little bit of a red flag. However, if you were going to do it and the campaign was appropriate and the party was all good with it, then a rogue is a good choice for it. And I totally agree with your suggestion for that tip, Anto. The tip should be communicate your intentions to the party if you're going to play a pacifist character.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one tip down. Pretty good. Let's jump into Sponsor Town. Who we got today, Anto?
So we still don't have any mainline sponsors giving us money. So until we do, we're going to shout out our friends and tell you about some of our friends that we think you should check out. And today I want to tell you about Aviad from Beyond the Screen. He runs a really good YouTube channel that's full of Dungeon Master advice and storytelling advice. And he does all kinds of videos.
You have got to check out Aviad's channel, and you've also got to check out his Patreon. He's got a great adventure up there that you can get for free. So check out Beyond the Screen on Patreon as well. And if you're enjoying this episode of No Plan, No Problem, we'd super duper appreciate it if you could please click like or follow or support on whatever platform you're listening on. We've also got all of these social media links down here in the description, and if you're super duper keen, we've got a Patreon where you can get this behind the scenes exclusive content. Thank you. Hey, we've got a little segment coming up that I like to call Yippee-ki-yay, because today we're going to be looking at Die Hard to find advice about rogues. Are you happy about that name, Anto? Do you like it?
I'm so happy.
Yeah, my wife suggested it. She's a good lady. So on this episode on Yippee-ki-yay, we're going to look at Die Hard from a rogue's perspective. Because I'm going to say that Die Hard, which is the story of John McClane being in an office building or a hotel, in there with terrorists and thieves, and just kind of like moving around in the vents, this is a rogue movie. John McClane isn't a fighter, even though he kills a whole bunch of people. He is a rogue.
Yes.
And what I like about this and what I want to take from it is the fact that this isn't your typical rogue adventure. A rogue storyline is usually we're going to break in and we're going to steal the thing. Or it's a escape thing where it's we're going to escape from jail. Those are usually the two rogue storylines. This is very distinct because it's we are secretly hiding in this space. We have to stay hidden. And we also have to stay in this space and accomplish a bunch of goals around it without getting caught.
Yes.
Right? It's not stealing. It's not escaping. It's we're going around, we're assassinating these evil terrorists one by one. What do you think of Die Hard as a rogue movie?
I had never thought of it like that, because so often you see things online talking about what class different pop culture figures would be. And I've seen John McClane as a fighter before, but I don't actually think I've seen him as a rogue. And it makes so much sense.
And don't get me wrong, he does a bunch of fighter stuff. Like, he does really strong athletic things. But he also solves problems in different kinds of ways. Like, at one point, Hans Gruber, who is Alan Rickman or vice versa, comes up and he has to, like, talk to and outsmart Hans Gruber and pretend to be friends. He's doing all these really cunning, deceptive things. And then also he's crawling around in the air vents, you know, he's stealing guns, he's trying to outsmart them and arm himself. And I could see the story beats for turning Die Hard into a rogue campaign.
Yeah.
Based on these kind of equipment level ups. So imagine, okay, Anto, your rogue starts with nothing. You got surprised in this situation, in this building, and suddenly now you're in a combat situation. But Anto, they don't know you're there. So you have some goals. You have to get equipment somehow, maybe piecemeal by taking out henchmen one at a time. As you get more equipment, you can take out more and more henchmen. You also need to get disguises to be able to lie to different people and pass into different parts of the hotel or building or fantasy zone that you couldn't normally get to. You sounds like you have an idea. What do you got for me?
I love it. Like, I'm looking at the rogue class.
You love it?
And looking at like their proficiencies, and it just, so many of it fits with what John McClane does. Like, they've got acrobatics and athletics. John McClane is throwing himself off of rooftops and swinging on things. They've got deception and performance, like you said, with his conversation with Hans Gruber. He, you know, uses his insight to kind of figure out that something is wrong, has a conversation with him, kind of makes him think that he doesn't realize that Gruber is the villain. Yeah. He's got intimidation, which is the ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun. Yeah. That's one of the best intimidation plays I've ever seen. It's absolutely a rogue film. Die Hard is a rogue film.
And it's a Christmas rogue film. Yes. I hate the Christmas meme. I'm not even going to do it. It's the goal and the motivation of the character. He's in there trying to save his wife. He's a rogue without the goal of just getting money. He's a rogue without the goal of just trying to escape the law. He's a rogue without the goal of just trying to assassinate the bad guy for the sake of it. He's doing his roguish stuff. That's his skill set. And he's doing that to save his wife or his ex-wife. I can't remember.
Wife? Estranged wife?
I don't know. I didn't say he was a good husband. I said he was a rogue.
One thing I think that we can absolutely take from Die Hard, and there's a lot that we can take from Die Hard, but in terms of the rogue, what I take from Die Hard is putting rogues in a situation where they can't use their tools and instead have to rely on their experiences and their skills. Because in my experience, a lot of the time, players playing a rogue, it comes down to their sneak attack and just get into a position and sneak attack. And I really like the idea of putting them in a situation where they have to use more of that broad skill set and use more of those roguey tools that they have in terms of skill set to solve their problem, rather than just sneaking up on someone and stabbing them in the kidneys.
Dude, that is such a good tip, because the rogues specifically have a class feature called expertise. And if you take away all of their equipment and put them in a situation where they just have to rely on their cunning, and this sounds more like a solo adventure the more we talk about it, but if you put them in a situation where they have to rely on their cunning and their skills, that is going to highlight the fact that this person, this character, is a resourceful expert. And the player is going to feel great. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah. So I would say that the tip would be create situations for your rogues that allow them to use their full skill sets.
Die Hard, bitches. All right, what are we doing next?
So next up, we've got a question from the OBZ fan over on Reddit, and they've got a whole post here talking about rogues that culminates in the question, why is it always the rogue that attracts the worst in the D&D community? They have a bunch of examples of kind of your archetype edgelord rogue that doesn't trust people, sneaks around a lot, steals everything. Both their parents are dead. They're a loner, a lonely loner on a lonely road. And their question is, why is it always the rogue that seems to attract this kind of player that plays in a really disruptive way, that almost wants to play on their own rather than as part of the group?
Okay, so it's a problem with edgelords that kind of bleeds into rogues. It's saying,
yeah,
saying edgy players are drawn to this rogue class consistently. Okay, that's fair enough, because I've seen a whole lot of edgy rogues. How's this one? Hey, my name's Dagger, and I work alone. Don't talk to me. In fact, I don't even speak. I'm a mute.
Oh my god, the mute rogue, yes.
I'm emoting at you right now. You can't hear me, but I'm still here.
They're like Drax, just if I stand perfectly still, you can't see me.
Because it's a crap character.
Yeah.
It's a crap character that doesn't want to interact with the other party members and like give them the satisfaction of getting to know your character and bouncing ideas off each other. It's a non-participating character.
Yeah, that's what the biggest problem with the way a lot of people play rogues is. They play a rogue as being emotionally isolated, because a lot of the rogues' mechanical benefits come from them being off on their own. You know, they can scout ahead, they can go off on their own and do a little bit of stealth or get intel. A lot of the things that play to their strengths mechanically kind of rely on them being a little bit separated. But I think a lot of people interpret that as I need to be emotionally separated as well. And that just doesn't work for me. I want my players to be engaged as a group and to care about the group. And you can absolutely do that as a rogue. You don't have to be a lonely loner on a lonely road.
But I'm wondering why people are even drawn to that kind of character type in general. Like, I think that in media, if you're looking at an edgy character, like, I don't know, a Blade, right? Blade the Vampire Hunter. If you're looking at Blade the Vampire Hunter, as an audience member, you see him doing all of these really lonerish things, not speaking very much, pretty much being a violent vampiric psychopath, right?
Yeah.
And you're entertained by it. As a viewer, you're entertained. But if you had to look at that character through the lens of another character, dude, Blade's a mongrel. He's not very fun to hang around. It'd be super awkward.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing to the other players. When you play an edgy character, it might be entertaining for you, the person observing, but it's not necessarily fun for the other characters that have to interact with this character.
No.
Or for the people playing them.
I think that from a literary standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint,
hit me.
The big benefit of your roguish characters in a lot of media isn't that they are loners and they are isolated from other people and that they're badasses. The juice comes from them overcoming that and starting to become part of a group and opening up to other people. And that's fine to do as a player if you follow tip 1 and communicate your expectations to the players, that I want to start in a place where I'm interesting and I'm reclusive and isolated from the group, but I fully intend for this character to become more integrated, and I'm going in with a very clear, focused intent on what I want the arc for this character to be over time. I think that would carry a lot more weight for a rogue player to kind of excuse or justify or make it okay that they might do a few annoying things, because you know that the player is playing them in such a way that they intend to integrate.
Yeah, it's all about communication, and that would help the other players anticipate that growth. You know, while you were just speaking there, Nanto, I actually invented a really incredible device. It's called a cake cloning machine, and all you do is you put one piece of cake in here, and it duplicates it so you can have your cake and then also eat it too.
Oh my God.
And what this machine has inspired me to do is to say that you can have your cake and eat it too with the rogue. What you would do is say, I want to play an edgelord character who's standoffish and not very communicative, and not necessarily fun to be around. And everyone rolls their eyes. But then you go, but he really likes the party. He's great friends with the party and he's open with them. And those are the only people he trusts, and he would do anything for them. Then suddenly you've got a character that the other party members, other players can bounce off, and it's only the DM that hates you.
Yes, I think that is actually one of the best ways to play kind of that edgelord rogue, is that they hate everything and everyone except the party. You make the party the exception to that, and make them absolutely devoted to the party, to like almost disastrous consequences. I'm thinking there's a character in the TV show The Expanse who is an absolute pain to everyone except his crew. Like, he would murder everyone for his crew, but he is an absolute D-bag to everyone else.
Is this Amos, the mechanic?
Yes. It is Amos.
Okay.
Like, I think Amos as a model for the kind of social interaction of an edgelord rogue works really well. He is horrible to almost everyone, but he would do unspeakable things because he is so devoted to his crew.
Yeah, that's really good, because what we've just done is we've reformed the edgelord. You can play your edgelord character, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, so long as you do it in the right way. You can be your quiet, sulky, sullen edgelord rogue. Just, make sure that everybody's on the same page and that you are going to be kind to the party.
Exactly.
Is that our tip?
I think that's our tip. If you're going to be edgy to everyone except the party.
Yeah, okay. That's a sick tip. Oh my God. Whoa, we just did... Do you hear that? There's no more podcast. We've done it. That's everything.
We've come to the end.
The end of the podcast. Hey, Anto, what are the round me up? What are the tips here?
So our first tip was you want to make sure to communicate your expectations of what your rogue is going to be to the party. So if you want to play an edgy rogue, you want to make sure that the party understand that before you start. If you want to play a pacifist, you want to make sure they understand that the rogue is one of those character builds that there is a lot of chance that your interaction and your goals could mess with the party. So you want to make sure everyone's on board with that before you start. Tip 2 was, as a dungeon master, you want to create situations where the rogue can use their full suite of skills. So don't just give them chances to stab things in the kidneys, but also engage the other skills that they have, because they've got a lot of skills. And then tip 3 was, if you're going to play an edgy rogue, maybe consider choosing to have the party be people that you don't be edgy with. Love the party and have disdain for everyone else, but make sure that you interact in a meaningful and an emotionally engaged way with the party.
I'm so glad you're here to remember all that stuff.
I know.
I'm so glad.
I wrote it down this time. No more repeats.
That's cheating. Somebody arrest him. Arrest this rogue, this riding rogue. Okay, well... I've been Matthew Perkins. You can find my stuff at matthewperkins.net.
And I have been Anto. You can find my stuff at icarus-games.co.uk.
Now, our theme song is a song called All Together by a band called House Hats. Thanks so much for letting us use the song, guys.
Yeah, and we shall see you all in the next episode.